Hey, happy Monday, and it is a Monday.
It is Monday. No Monday artist today. I'm excited to be here.
I know. And last week it was just you and I. We were having a little chat about over the travel fence, and already the response is incredible.
Well, you're right. I can't believe it, in fact.
I know.
Like, what did I tell you? What's the number one thing that I've wanted to do more than anything in the world? Go to India.
Go to India.
Yeah.
Well,
now you've got the opportunity of coming with us.
Exactly. So, go and check it out. It's in the bio and
your lip gloss is so nice. I'm going to put some more on.
Hey,
you're inspiring me.
I love that. Well, as the host, I always have I got it in my bra. No, I've got this touch up before I touch down.
That's better.
Talk about because you have to look a little bit glamorous, but we have got someone very glamorous with us today, and we are really thrilled. So I think we should just go straight into it. What do you think,
100%. I can't wait.
Enough of us, little chit chat. Let's just go into it because we are absolutely delighted to welcome the dynamic Kathryn Eisman to our back fence. We recently shared a table with Kathryn at the Warrior Woman charity lunch where she immediately stood out. Not only gorgeous and engaging, but wearing the most fabulous red lace statement stockings. And yes, they were from her very own brand, High Heel Jungle. Kathryn has already had a remarkable career, moving from Sydney to New York at just 21 and becoming one of the youngest on-air reporters in NBC history. I mean, incredible, really. She's worked across everything in entertainment.
We're only hearing the intro.
I know. E-News, created Emmy-nominated projects, writing best-selling books, including, I love this, How to Tell a Man by His Shoes and How to Tell a Woman by Her Handbag. Well, Di and I got the same handbag.
Yeah,
and she's also hosted her show on Paramount Plus series Undressed.
Can't wait to undress that one.
I know. These days, we're so lucky because Kathryn is now back in Oz and she's building
Sydney.
her biz, raising her two gorgeous daughters, Capri and Monet.
Love the names too.
And continuing to create and involve in so many ways. So it's, you've had such an incredible story so far. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Beth Fence.
I am so happy to be sharing the fence with you ladies. Thank you.
Isn't that cool? It's so lovely. We've already just been chatting, like, my niece in LA.
Yes.
And the beat goes on.
And I know your daughter. I mean,
it's
basically
really beautiful.
We're all blonde naturally.
I love that.
I mean, we have so much in common.
In fact, guys, we're just having a yak before we turn the mics on. And I said, is it 4 p.m.? Because we could have kept talking all day.
We should probably start recording
seriously,
at some point.
Naturally. And sometimes the gold is when you're just so natural. But you and I generally are. Yeah. We do have a giggle when we entertain. It's when we entertain, don't you love it? When we interview. It is like entertainment. Look, there's so many ways to start because you're like a beautiful sponge cake with the jam and the cream.
Wow.
And layers and layers and layers and layers and layers.
Before?
I like any dessert metaphor. So
yay!
Thank you.
I like any dessert.
I have a sweet tooth on. But look, these days I think we underestimate the power of love and the elders in our society and the impact that they can actually have on us.
Yeah.
Now I'm a glam ma. I grab them up and I just shake them into reality and they're like, what are you doing with them? But look, the thing is what I want to say to you and to start this whole interview off is let's unpack the influence and the beauty that surrounded you with your grandma and your mother.
Yeah. Oh, wow, I love that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
That's
Bam.
beautiful. Yeah, boom, look at that.
Boom, with a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
I love that.
Really a strong line of women.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. Sometimes when I get interviewed, people ask me about how I deal with the patriarchy and all these, and not to say that it doesn't very much exist in the world, but I am so incredibly lucky that I grew up kind of away from it. I wasn't even aware of it. It never occurred to me for a minute that women were not as or more brilliant and strong and capable than any man. It literally did not occur to me. So how unique and lucky am I? And a lot of that I can attribute to, as you say, my grandmother and my mother. So my grandparents, on both sides, came from Europe. My grandmother came in 1950 when my mother was 3 years old. She was born in Berlin, and she was a survivor of the Holocaust, and she was in Auschwitz and Birkenau and ended up on Schindler's List. And so and my grandfather as well.
I've got goosebumps
all over my.
I know. Yeah.
Seriously.
So so she was incredibly strong because. You had to be incredibly lucky as well. So some people had the strength without the luck, but she had both, and what she endured, and even more, I think, telling was how she lived versus just surviving. She just was an incredibly strong, positive, loving, happy person, and came to Australia, this great country that I'm so excited to come back to after 17 years in America, and just couldn't believe that it was so safe, and that I remember she said she saw the Prime Minister at the time walking through Town Hall, and there weren't all these police guards around. It was just minimal security, and coming from post World War II to Europe, you can imagine the level of security. And she thought, what country is this that the Prime Minister can just walk pretty much freely? And so they came with great love for this country and everything that it offered them, and built this incredible life here. So they built some of the first European arcades here, and she arrived with just a small suitcase, and she had impeccable taste, and she was one of the first people to bring European designers to Australia, and people would remark on her. A lot of people in the 50s in Australia, there was a lot of peach and feathers in hats and things like that.
Not a peach girl. It's funny.
And she was wearing, like the Dior New Look,
except
white.
For lipstick. I like peach lipstick.
Exactly, or a little bit of blush, Charlotte Tilbury blush, exactly. But she would wear these, beautiful, Dior, the New Look suits, and people, and she had this black short hair, and just she was of great beauty, but she was so elegant, and people would stop her and say, "Where?" And she ended up creating her first fashion boutique, and then it became a whole series of them. And on my other side was also fashion. My paternal grandparents were also in the fashion business, and then they built arcades, and they really. So I think fashion is always in my blood, and my mum was just incredibly free-spirited. Unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago, and that was what brought me back to Australia. But
sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
because you're young. How old was your mum?
Yeah, she was 73.
Yeah, it's these days. It's very
too young,
young.
and a very. I think everyone 73 is really. Like 53 these days. She was the life of the party, my mum. She was so charismatic, and
I think
so
she's
wonderful.
Around too,
yeah.
I didn't get so much. Grandma was like 25 layers.
Yeah.
Easily. I don't often get that many.
What was Grandma's name?
Anna Rich. Yes.
Oh wow.
So she was incredible, and then my mum as well. My mum was very different in many ways to my grandmother, but
more free-spirited.
Very free-spirited, and really encouraged my love of writing and creating. And she just from a bit unconventional as a mother. I
love
remember,
it.
And I remember when I'd write my books, and she was actually an English teacher, and she would read them. I'm a terrible speller, but I was studied for English, and was very good at writing and all the humanities, and did really well with it, in spite of my inability to spell. Somehow they probably felt sorry for me, like, let's give her 99%. She's clearly got a problem.
Style.
Yeah, but I love the written word and language and words, and even when you talk about my kids' names, like I love the best word is a name, because it has such power, doesn't it? But anyway, my mum was just a really great supporter. I remember when I was 21 and I was thinking of moving to New York, and I'd had this actually terrible breakup, and I was in Mexico, and I called her up and I said, "Do you think, should I come back to Australia?" And my mum was like, "No, there's nothing for you here. Like, just go."
You know what's remarkable? My sister said to me when I lived in New York.
Cool.
Wendy said to me, because I said, "Should I come back?" Same thing, and she said, Nothing's changed, Di. If you come back, nothing has changed. And that hit home more than anything. So I stayed another 2 years as a consequence.
It
so
gives you
it's
the
funny.
permission.
Yes,
Now, my mum's...
yes.
But that's lovely coming from your mother. Because a lot of mums sometimes get, sort of sooky and go, "Oh, look after you." But I love that and go, kind of.
She was a little bit tough love, but she did what was right for us. And I think... No, she didn't help me find accommodation or anything.
I love that. That's how you learn.
But I remember having this very distinctive moment where I thought, almost out loud, well, if my mum thinks I can do it, maybe I can.
And you worked it out.
Yeah,
not her.
And that was, and I'm so grateful for it. And I hope
what
now
a great gift.
that for my two daughters, that I love them enough to love them a little less, you know what I mean? To give them that freedom.
Oh, that's a good line.
Oh, set them free.
Because these days there's the helicopter parents and they're grabbing them and where are you going? What are you doing? And they're following on the phones, whatever. So I love what you just said. Very few would be, they'd be afraid. Many would be afraid to say that. I love them so much. I love them a little bit less. There's so much in that. It's like, where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? It's painful to watch.
And you deprive them of the most valuable gift, which you can, is self-reliance, because ultimately you really do have, no matter who you marry or what you do, ultimately it does come back to you. And I think the earlier you can learn that, to an extent, obviously you want to have a childhood, but even from your childhood, the earlier that you feel that you're capable enough to control and manage your life, and that it's in your hands, your happiness and your success and all of that, the better, because it's going to come for you one way or another. And I'm so immensely grateful that I'm not looking to anyone else. Even in my wonderfully happy marriage, I'm not looking for any of that from my husband. He's there to share my ride, but it's my ride. And
that's bravo. And
pearls of wisdom.
It's really healthy to hear that, Kathryn. And I think now it's becoming more and more aware. I think also we were a bit more from the generation, not so much. I was always independent and I was lucky from a strong line of women like yourself. But still, it was many people. It was more even, who you married, or, you didn't have to have the career as much. Whereas now it's just sort of like, it doesn't really matter. And it's great. We all want to choose the right partner if that's what you want in life.
Yes.
But it's still, I think you add more to it when you look after yourself. And
100%.
And and your mum also allowed you to fail if you, could have, and that's where
struggle
all of
that.
Where do I get accommodation? New York.
I mean, it was
funny
freezing.
you say that, because she was just saying that mum, no offer accommodation in New York where I was. I said, Dad, I need an American Express card for emergencies. And he went, darling, there's a lot of emergencies. I went, oh, you have no idea. Almost fell off the tram the subway, oh, darling, that's awful. So back to accommodation.
It literally didn't even occur to me until a couple of years ago that I was like, it didn't occur to me that I could have asked for help. Isn't that so weird? And yet I felt fully loved and supported.
Yes.
But I never felt like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to do it on my own.
Yes.
I just was like, oh, I'm going to do it on my own.
And tell them about how you did it on your own with the caravan on the top of the building.
Oh, my God.
It's the best line. I was laughing my head off.
It's true. And the best part, it's true. And, for a long time, I didn't share this story because I think I
love it.
Yeah, because only recently I was like, I actually think people need to know the truth.
Absolutely. They go, oh, lucky girl. Really? Listen to this story.
Yeah, and I think people thought that. I grew up in a big house in Vaucluse. They don't know how it really happened for me.
It's fine. I'm like, great. Freezing.
And I was freezing. So basically, I moved to New York. I had one suitcase full of summer clothes from Mexico in the middle of New York winter. And you really don't. I remember my skin, I think it turned white at the airport, like the moisture and just kind of leached out of it immediately. And I didn't know where to stay. And I'd come through on a book tour. I'd written a book.
At 21.
Yes.
Go girl.
And when I was there, I remember putting an ad. So I'd just gone through New York earlier, and I'd put an ad on the American Australian Association's website saying, Australian girl coming to New York to do a book tour to any place I could stay. I mean, honestly, now it's just looking negligent from my parents, isn't it? It went from like, go them to like, I think we need to call community services. Anyway, so, and so apparently, you know, this lovely girl who's one of my friends to this day, Donna Whitaker, saw this ad, and then she also saw that there were these, you know, bankers and all these guys are like, yeah, you can stay on my couch, whatever it is. And she was like, let me just intervene here, and said, you can stay at my place. She was a few years older than me. I was 21, she was 35, and she just out of the goodness of her heart just said, you can stay at my place. And her place was this beautiful apartment on 67th Street between 5th and Madison. And I arrived there, and she was Australian originally, and she was in Australia, and the landlord let me in to stay in her place when came back, and I was like, I'll have to email her in 3 days saying, by the way, I'm back. You're in Australia. I didn't know where else to stay. Anyway, eventually this illegal structure on the roof of this dilapidating, beautiful old
probably brownstone or something.
Yeah, brownstone it was. And it was pre-war, extraordinary, you know, one of the most beautiful, flanked by billionaires, one of the most expensive streets
in the whole thing.
And
there you were flying on the top.
And there I was in this illegal caravan on the roof, and you had to walk through snow on the roof that was collapsing because of the weight onto a corrugated caravan, which had, you can imagine, fabulous insulation, and the pipes would freeze when it got below zero, which was most of winter, and I would sleep with all my clothes on at night. I think my like cheap Zara puffer jacket, which had no real insulation, and you really need down, it turns out, and then I ended up becoming a reporter for NBC, and I remember covering a story that was about these shocking living conditions and how they were complaining to the landlord and all this stuff. And I thought, if only they knew that I'm living in worse conditions than this. But I'm so grateful. I thought it was magical. I furnished it with odds and ends that were found in this basement. The landlord
it's exciting at 21.
It is incredible. It's very cool. Did you have a shower up there?
There was a shower, but it would get blocked, and I would just keep on buying that stuff, the Drano thing, and put it through. And then I would buy like plastic, like laminated, and try and make the kitchen look nice by putting laminate on it. But it had a little balcony where I could overlook Central Park, and it was in its own crazy way. I mean, it had a black and white TV.
There's a movie could be made around it.
Absolutely. Now, how did you tell from the book? What was that book that you wrote?
So that was How to Tell a Man by His Shoes.
Wow, you wrote that at that age. I didn't realise that was you were so young.
Yeah, I was.
Were you at uni when you wrote it?
I was at university when I wrote it.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then how did it come about? Tell us, how do you get the gig in the States?
So the book came out, and it ended up becoming a bestseller, and it was, you know, a huge success here, which was, I think the first print run was 30,000 copies, and they did other, and then it got picked up, bought in other countries all around the world.
And it's called How to Tell a Man by His Shoes.
How to Tell a Man by His Shoes. And it was basically this idea, so cool. You know, where I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and I've always been, my mother studied psychology, and that was always a big part of our conversations. I'm always intrigued by people and how we think and how we look at things. That's my greatest passion, and to look at things that seem superficial and trying to derive meaning from it. And I thought clothing, no one had really thought about clothing. People had accused clothing of being superficial. Obviously, historically, we know that it's one of the greatest storytellers of power and privilege and suffering and women's rights, and it's intrinsically linked to our journey through humanity. But no one had really looked at character and clothing and how we can tell so much about the subconscious decisions we make every day when we get dressed. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I studied men's shoes and wrote about the kind of person that wears them to help people, whether they be dating or in a first, job interview or whatever it is. And it just became a really big success. And so I went to America on this book tour, but nothing was booked for this book tour, and I ended up...
Except the caravan. I know.
Exactly. Exactly. And that should have been booked by police. It was condemned.
By police.
I love
it. And basically I ended up going on, my friend, this person I met called Mark Honecker, who was a producer that I'd met at the O'Reilly Factor on Fox News, basically was now working at Good Morning America, and he was like, I think this is really interesting, booked me as a guest on Good Morning America. And then I went on the O'Reilly Factor, and then I ended up going on Today's show in New York. And each time the segments did extremely well. They performed, and they said, there was this woman, this amazing producer, Nancy Hahn. I remember everyone's name because they deserve to be remembered. These people that give you a chance when there's really nothing.
You sound like your grandmother saying that.
Yes.
It's beautiful to acknowledge that.
I'm forever grateful. And I want to be that person because I don't forget them. And she said, this was really great. Do you have more ideas? And I said, of course I have more ideas. And then for a couple of months, I would suggest, and do these reports for for Today's Show on NBC in New York, for their New York version, and they created a position for me. So, and I remember,
go Aussie, go!
Yeah, and they said, I remember, I think I jumped up and hugged my news director, Dan Cohen, and then he said to me, he's like, just don't tell anyone how old you are, because I was 21.
Oh, that's great.
And I think I became the youngest on-air reporter for NBC.
I love that.
How competitive, when you think of how big in the US of A, how many people would have wanted that gig, and you've got
she probably wanted it.
And and it's funny, but you deserved it. And and just a quick thing, so there's so much we want to talk about. But I love it. So we've brought up with the shoes, because I think it's so true. I can get turned off if someone has really bad shoes.
Tell me if you've got a story of someone you've dated,
just sort of like,
where you've looked at it, and what were they?
I just think if they put their feet up, I guess so working on I used to work in the airlines too, and you'd sort of see all the people with the feet, and I'd have a little look around. And I'd go,
you would.
I would see it all the time.
You would talk about that on Sunrise.
That's true.
Feet.
Feet. I do.
I would take my shoes
but
off.
it is. So what do you sort of like? Say a guy with I don't know, Converse or the
a thong.
or the
what about thongs?
Yeah. Or the shiny shoes.
Because the guy I'm dating, he turned up in thongs, and I didn't notice because it was nighttime.
He showed. Hang on a second. The guy you're dating currently showed up.
Not at a date
at nighttime.
Yeah,
I know. Like, wow.
But it wasn't. He was home with the flu. We weren't meant to meet up, and I said, "Oh, look, just duck down."
Lucky she gave him a second chance.
It was summer. It was summer,
and
he had nice white shorts. But I didn't notice because I was so consumed with him. My girlfriend went, he wearing it was like that. I went, what? Because I was lost in him.
Yeah.
I went, are you joking?
And all the girlfriends were protective, and you get this thing.
I just went, but he wasn't meant to come because he was sick, and I said, stand away, I don't want to get sick. But I did immediately go, oh, I went from.
What about socks and thongs?
Oh, no, never.
Well, no, I think
don't do Japanese.
I don't care how sick you are with the food. Yeah, exactly. I mean, culturally appropriate, but
it is
tell us some stuff about shoes.
Okay, well, I mean, you can tell. You really can tell so much. Like, obviously, it's amusing and it's fun, but I have literally never been wrong. So when I would go on these shows, they would. I remember when I went on Good Morning America, I didn't get to even meet the people. They just lined the shoes up.
Oh, stop!
And it's one of the biggest shows in the world and live, of course. And I've spent my whole life working in live television.
So you wouldn't see the people.
I didn't see the people. I'm just seeing the shoes. And I would this one takes wedding vows very seriously. This one, this and this. And they were like, I just renewed my vows. So I have this weird ability to truly do it.
So in Twine's mum and grandma, you've got grandma with the style, mum who did psychology.
Yes.
So there you go. Bingo.
Yes.
There you go. You're round full circle.
I can't wait for you with your daughters too, what they're going to be like.
God, let's watch.
I know. There's a little kind of witchiness in
So we're going to go.
Go back to
anyway, help.
But with shoes, there's so much you can say. So, I mean, you really can. So if it's, a pointed shoe that's very shiny, that's someone who, often like sales driven, very, ambitious in that way. If you do the converse, it's someone who doesn't really want to grow up. It's like and they can be loyal, but they need a lot of freedom and space, like a dog on a long leash. And like to collect like vintage memorabilia. They're also like all these tiny kind of nuances. And I learned I had the ability to do this when I was about 11 years old. I went to Italy and I was left with my brother who wandered off, sorry, Dan, to watch our suitcases while my father bought our train ticket at Venice train station. And this man came up to me wearing, I remember, like a camel cashmere coat, brown monk strap shoes. And I remember him asking me directions in Italian, which unfortunately I don't speak. And I remember looking at him thinking, his face does not match his clothes. And turns out my father came back and our camcorder had been stolen. And he goes, whereas I said, Dad, this man, I don't know how, because I was his face didn't match his clothes, but it had to be him. He was a lie. He was a lie.
Oh, wow. How old were you there? I mean, you're writing
11.
books. You're writing books when you're 21.
So
how old were you?
11
There
then.
you go.
Yeah.
And then we chased him and we found him. I think so, yeah. But I think that I can, and through the books and then with later in my TV show, I really believe, and now with my own, with High Heel Jungle, I really do believe that, I know for a fact that getting dressed each day is one of the most empowering acts that we can do, where we're consciously or subconsciously choosing who we will be in this world. And I spent a lot of my career interviewing some of the biggest actors in the world, Oscar winners, and I would say to them, when did you feel like you inhabited that character? And invariably they would say, is when I put on the character's wardrobe, that is when I felt like that person. I walked differently. I felt differently. And it's no different for us. I always think of this life as our great movie, and we are the leading ladies or men in it. And I do think it's always a tragedy to walk through life dressed as the wrong character. And so I think that by choosing to bring consciousness into the daily act of getting dressed and choosing who you want to be versus it being some subconscious decision-making process that can hurt you, that can reaffirm to the world and to yourself negative and limiting self-beliefs and all these other things. I think when you can take the reins and own that narrative, because it is a narrative, it's a non-verbal communication, I think that it can give you that same thing which I think my mum gave me, and was this idea of taking back the reins and the power in your own life to choose how your story goes.
See, there's someone listening now that will go, oh, well, she can probably wear Chanel. Well, I can barely afford a shirt. So let's unpack that one.
I love that. And great. And thank you. I love that.
Around
100%.
this discussion. Like
these days.
Yeah.
In a world of infinite choice, really at every price point, you can choose something. So I can, yes, I have Chanel, I have Kmart. I love a Kmart t-shirt. I love it. They do a great t-shirt.
They do.
And they're amazing, great quality.
I love the t-shirts. They're actually cool.
And I truly believe that great personal style is about expressing what you want, the best qualities about yourself. That's what it is. That's what real style is. It's different to being fashionable. Style is about expressing the best qualities in yourself in a way that makes you feel distinctive, unique, and powerful, whatever that might be. And you can, at every price point, find those pieces. Without doubt. And it is not, once upon a time, it probably was a lot harder, but the way that, call it the Industrial Revolution and cheaper, labor and God knows what happens, but you can get your hands on great stuff at low prices these days. So it's really not about some people who wear head-to-toe designer have I would not describe as the most stylish people, quite the contrary. Yes. It's about knowing yourself and then choosing pieces that work.
And I love what you're saying, because it's not, and it's a good point you bring that up, Jojo, because it's not at all about doing it to even show off or anything. It's for your own self-confidence, and it doesn't really matter what it is that you wear, and we've all got different tastes in it. But it's like, you're sort of saying that, I remember even with the Qantas uniform, you'd put it on, and all of a sudden I'd be ready to go, and I'd be in that, like a policewoman, you'd be putting on that uniform. And so it's kind of no different to, whether, say, I'm walking the dog and I'll put on my gym gear. But you can put that on and you can try and look the best you can. Now, you can have days when you can be in your trackies, and that's great. But still is that sort of personal thing for yourself. And
100%.
Sorry, I'm only laughing because of in Joburg when you had 2 minutes to get to the crew bus. Wait a minute.
I can get changed in a minute.
I think we got in at 2 a.m. or something because we had a big nose on. And my dress, and it was, and I just sat and because nothing I could do. I was just watching her. And it was like, and you're in the laundry, maybe they've got it, and the crew bus are all like honking or whatever they were doing. And I was just watching. It was like eating Maltesers at the movies, right? Because this woman who's so glamorous, she lipstick, hair done.
I can get ready.
She located the dress behind the TV or something.
That's a great skill set.
Wow. and then
Well, I'd
into
always
hosting mode.
maximise my time of wherever I was in a destination. Then, some people would spend hours getting ready. I could literally get ready in 10 minutes.
She's and look immaculate.
And put the,
she does.
Put the hair up, the lipstick on, whatever. So I used to always ring up the hotel and go, I'll be in my room, so you get an hour to get ready. And I would zoom in there 10 minutes before, quickly
But
get
that's
changed.
Nicola
love
too.
that.
And go.
She's brilliant at it. That's great to watch.
There's too much. There's too much.
around you, change
I love it. Quick change, exactly.
And also, then we'll go into other things. But tell me the motto. What was your grandma's motto as well?
She believes dress. I love that you guys, you do your research. I love it over the back fence.
Well,
So
now I'm a grandma. It's very important.
it's
to know
really
this.
beautiful. So when she was younger, she met this actor in Europe and he said to her something that she carried with her and told us and she lived by it. And she said, dress every day as if you're going to meet the most important person in your life. And the idea of it is that life is a series of coincidences. You don't know when you're going to meet the love of your life, the person who becomes your business partner, the next employee. You just don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know when opportunity is going to be there and hit you in the face. And what happens is if you're dressed in a way where you feel confident, where you're able to make eye contact, and the difference, right? We've had the days where you're like, I just hope no one sees me, and then days where you're ready for it. Even doesn't mean you have to be dressed to the nines.
No.
It could just be wearing your athleisure wear, whatever it is, but you've taken that extra second to brush your hair, maybe put a little bit of mascara, lip gloss. You feel put together. You don't feel like embarrassed about. You should never walk
and it could
through
be
life.
a little bit of a mask because you might be feeling a bit lift you.
It changes the way you feel. When you were talking about putting on the uniform, putting on the lipstick, there are different things that we do. Now, every day we all have uniforms, and I'm not against the idea of that. I think it's actually a really powerful thing because we don't want to have to make so many decisions every single day. It's nice to just have a few easy options for us that we can put it on. But the reason they have uniforms is this idea of it creates an identity that's bigger than you. So that's why schools do it, why workplaces do it. So no matter how you're feeling, how hungover or exhausted or jet lagged or whatever it might be, when you put on that, which airline was it? Was
Qantas,
it Qantas uniform? You were imbuing yourself with the values of the company that you were working for, and that became your armor. And then you added, as you say, the lipstick, and that became also the armor that you were like, now I'm in this mode, and the hair back.
And your shoes.
And the
You
shoes.
put the shoes on, the lipstick on, and you walk, and you could just go out and own it.
Blunt heel, wasn't it? I used to always look at your heels because I'm like,
No, high heels when we were there, and then
3
flats on the plane. So we have two. We have the high
But that
and
was
the
the
low.
thing, and we all do that, and I think it's a great thing and that changed how you felt. And let me tell you something: if you didn't have that uniform, it would have been a very different experience for you and for the passengers because it made you behave in a different way because you were in that role. And I think that we just have to choose which role do we want to be in and then choose the uniform that puts us into that state.
While we're on talking wardrobe, we just have to do Undressed. We just got to go there. I mean, Paramount producer. Well, you were producer, am I right? Host, and was it your idea? You're the creative behind it.
Yeah.
So just for those that never saw it, look, I'm so fascinated by this because I love psychology. But tell us, there's a couple that stood out for me. Can you share the stories? A couple of the more prominent ones that were really popular from the show. 2002 it came out, was it?
Yeah,
22?
3 years ago.
2022,
Yeah.
What we can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the joy of co-creating. I came up with the idea and then got to co-create it with Bruna Papandreou, who's behind some of my favorite TV shows, and Steve Utensky here, and Made Up Stories. So they're Big Little Lies, 9 Perfect Strangers, Anatomy of a Scandal.
Just a few.
Gone Girl,
the
so
biggest ones.
So many things. And then in Gahar, who was also, and so basically, I have always believed that you can tell so much about what someone wears, and I also think you can transform someone's life by changing the way they dress. And it's not just putting them in other clothes. It's I'm not coming in as a stylist.
It's not Trini, like
no,
a makeover.
It's the opposite of a makeover.
That's important to know.
It's not anything. It's literally like me. So what it is the premise of the show is that I would meet a room full of strangers. and they were truly strangers. And let me tell you, it was so weird because when I was, obviously one of the co-owners of the show and producers, but every time I'd walk past, there was a whole section of our production trailer, and the boards would be turned around. Like I just saw it, I was like, gosh, I'm feeling really paranoid here. Because
that's amazing.
But we really kept it. Good. It was amazing. And so basically I would meet these strangers for the first time, and I would invite them into the center of the circle, and I would say, would you like me to do a reading? And it's basically, and then I would assess what they were wearing and then tell them what I saw about the deepest parts of their personality and where they're going and challenges and limiting self-beliefs. And invariably there were, laughs, but also a lot of tears, because I think one of the greatest things in this world is the rare moment where you feel seen. Because I think we and truly seen, and it doesn't happen that often. And it was a beautiful bonding experience for me and for them, because I had taken the time, I'd gone into a different part of, I wasn't just rushing around life, I had taken a different attitude towards it, and I suddenly was really looking to understand them. And they felt it immediately, and I would tell them
Give us an
things.
example.
So there would be, there was this girl, Izzy, for example, and Izzy was covered in tattoos, and was wearing all black. And she had created a mask for herself so that, because I had wanted to distance herself in some ways from the world, from childhood pain and then some of it's very deep, but basically I had been teased, and rather than being scared, she had created this protective mechanism where others would stay away. So they would be scared. And it was a way of keeping herself safe. And so you will often see with people have gone through traumatic experiences, whether it be domestic violence or different things. And again, it's all, but people will start dressing sometimes in ways that is to create like a protection, if they can have access to it, you might see. But even if you look at, so if it might be leather, or they wear more hardware, things that become sharper edges because they really feel so vulnerable, and that they are trying to create a barrier between them and the real world. And so in seeing that, it was this incredible moment for both of us, where she felt her whole story made sense to her. And you say something that triggers a moment of where it's true, and sometimes you've articulated it to yourself and sometimes you haven't, but in hearing it you recognize it to be true. And then through that moment of being seen, then you're able to say, okay, how are we going to bring you back? How can we bring some color back literally into you?
It's remarkable.
It's
yeah.
Okay, now I'm getting it.
Yeah. And so,
and undressed, I love it. It's so clever. It's more than an undressed to the raw of who you are.
Yes.
Isn't it? To really undress to sort of like naked nearly. That's stripping you back. And then, keep on telling us about it.
So a bit of colour, and was she hesitant or?
Yeah, it's very, very,
because I'm seeing it like dark, and I'm being a colour. Oh,
only black and covered.
I hear
and you can't touch me now.
No, particularly with the sharp.
I'd like you to cross the road so that you can't get close to me. That kind of dressing in that way. And yes, it's very difficult. The first point of it's not a makeover. It's a transformation, and it is from the outside in. So I see it, and then I see it aesthetically, but it's really about what's happening internally. And then once you've built that trust with that person, because you're not coming in going, let's put you in some color and let's, I see you wear it like
which
that.
Is a makeover.
Yeah, it's so, which is why they don't work, because it's like it's me putting on my taste onto you. It's the opposite of empowering. It's totally disempowering.
So take us to the color. How did you introduce
And so we brought color, and we did this thing where we would try slowly, and then finding what it would be, and then on the last episode they dressed themselves, and I would see them. I wasn't me choosing it. And she wore this amazing pink dress. And that was amazing. So it was really and there are many examples. We could talk all day, but from that one, which obviously very serious, to other things that could be a new mum and a feeling of loss of identity, and you're wearing the oversized T-shirt and all the care that you used to put into yourself, you're now, I call it displaced identity dressing, where all that love and self-care you used to put into yourself as a single girl or whatever it is, now you're displacing and put it into your child, and you become an afterthought or forgotten, and there's some joy in that you're not the priority anymore, and there's also a loss of self as well. And so how do you strike that balance, and how do you do the psychological shift where you don't feel guilty about looking after yourself, which is what when you're a mom, like I've got my 2 girls, I never was someone who felt guilty. And I remember I was like, wow, they gave me a baby and they gave me like a bundle of guilt, and they both grew in equal.
Wow, that's amazing.
How old are your girls now?
Wow.
So I've got a 12-year-old, 12 and a half, and I have an 8-year-old.
And do they dress themselves, or do they go through mums, like dress up as mum, or what do they do?
Very different, and very different to me. And it would be ridiculous if I imposed my tastes on them. My 12-year-old is obviously like classic 12-year-old, but I understand her style and I encourage it, and it's great. And then my younger one, they're very, very different. I think like all
but that's
kids
great.
are so different. They love clothing. I mean, they've grown up in a house where there's just like more shoe. I have got my own shoe department in the house, so there's no shortage of clothing. And I do love fashion. I love it so much. It brings me so much joy.
And tell us also with that, you've also done the book with the handbag as well.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that. We've
So
got
that's
from the shoes
tell a woman
to
by a handbag, guy by his shoes.
So I think women and shoes is more of a mood thing. Just like I think a man's watch is who they want to be and the man's shoes is who they are. I think a woman...
Oh, wow. That's good.
I think that...
If it's a fake watch.
Yeah. Well, it's also... it's very, and
I want to have one.
Exactly. And I think for women, your bag is something, and you can have a few. Listen, we're multifaceted.
That's true.
I've never met a person that's just one thing. Thank goodness. How boring. And so you can have your 2 or 3 bags, and you kind of rotate between the 2, or you go through a real phase of that, and that's. But I really believe that a woman's handbag is such a intrinsic reflection of our identity, not only historically. I mean, it's linked to the women's movement. When women started being able to carry in the 20s handbags, they didn't need chaperones. You know what I mean? So,
I didn't know that.
That's so interesting. It's funny. My mum used to stir up my dad and say he's wearing his man bag, and but it was he would have the man bag. I guess that was have his.
He was
business.
ahead of his time.
Yeah,
yes.
And he'd have his business sort of
beautiful man.
Yeah, lovely man. But and Mum loved it as well. But she'd always sort of say she probably bought it for him in London. She was the stylish one.
It's the man,
the man bag.
Yeah,
exactly,
it's so logical.
But it's so
It's like
nice
a
to
it
see
is.
men with like with the bag.
Yes, and owning it.
And owning it, yes.
Yeah.
So
What
what
else
a pretty
do
player,
handbags tell you, like about a woman? Like we're both Louis girls.
Are you? Yes.
I've got a bigger one, Giganto. Nicola's medium.
I've got to say how special they are. I got this for my 50th birthday. My girlfriends bought it for me, and when it was my 60th birthday, I was with you.
Yeah,
my
we're
2
in
good bags
Rome, weren't we?
I have got from my girlfriends, and so
Yeah,
for
so
my
does that
60th
say
was
something?
was my Gucci, because they asked what did I want, and I said I'd like a Gucci bag, and
beautiful.
the girls
It
put in the
suits you.
money, and we're in Rome together, and we went to the store and bought it,
And
had
I
the
drank 3
champagne.
glasses. I said, she's with me. I'll have
And
another
it's got my
champagne.
initials in it, and I love it so much.
It's
so they
divine.
are actually my only
Melbourne girl.
2 designer bags that I've got.
Where I just chuck that in
and
the corner.
I love them so much. This
literally
one's
do.
really worn out, but it doesn't matter. I love my big Louis one.
Yes.
But that's my story with handbags.
No, I think it's very
so
interesting.
special.
It is. It's very, it's very sentimental. It has meaning. It's about having less and better, and the idea of, quality over quantity, and that's probably reflected whether it be with your friendships or how you, that sense of loyalty.
That was my mum's favourite saying is always, even with wine or whatever, quality over quantity, Nicola.
Yeah, and that.
Well, we've reversed that a few
Exactly.
times. Bloody hell.
I think that was her way of saying, don't drink too many of those drinks, Nicola.
Was that when your father said, darling, you mustn't be feeling well? No, I'm not well. Those days.
I could get
my
away with
God.
murder a bit with
She
Mojo.
could get away with anything.
lucky,
You'll be all right,
but-
sweetheart. You're
but
just a
very
bit
supportive
sick.
parents. And then also, like, El's exchange was 15 and could go. I went for 12
He's
months, and
the
that's
most.
like, before.
We
that
were
was
lucky. We
pretty
both had beautiful
independent.
days.
Yeah.
But,
Let's just
Yes.
quickly. I'm
and
going
then we want to go
back.
to your high heel.
We've got so much to go
I
through,
know,
but
it's
I just want to duck
amazing.
back just for a second because we
Yes.
were just chatting about Los Angeles, but just quickly with e-news.
Yes, yes.
And let's tie in the wardrobe with the psychology. I mean, some of the best interviews you had. Give us an example of some fab people, what they're wearing, and you went, nah, it's not really you.
yeah.
You represent it all.
Well, it'd be very interesting because you see this idea of how our changing identity is expressed on celebrities on a really big level. So you would see them go through different phases and they're very intentional about it when they would come up with a new album. But I was the head of fashion and lifestyle for E! News.
How fabulous.
Yeah.
That would be my dream job.
It was wonderful.
Seriously.
It was a really great. Well, it's interesting because I moved from New York to LA and I always wanted to work at E! News because I remember New York was very much about news and working at 30 Rock and all of that was so exciting. And then LA was all about entertainment. It really wasn't the news hub of America unless you into car chases on highways.
Like two different countries.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
celebrity place.
It's a
isn't
celebrity
it?
place.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in
That's
LA,
it.
Yeah.
That's where
be
you
in
go.
entertainment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I was very lucky. And I remember when I was basically 8 months pregnant, that's when I did this interview for this job. They had it on the back burner for months since I was about 2 months pregnant, and then they kept on having different changes with executive producers, and they kept on emailing saying, sorry, we're having a lot of internal changes, and I felt like saying, so am I. And so
That's a great line.
Great.
And they probably went, she's put on weight, actually.
Yeah, it was. And they hadn't seen me. And I
that's
was
so
doing another
funny.
job at the time. I had a series for Yahoo called Secrets to Her Success, which is all about interviewing amazing women from
We want to talk
Olympians
to
to
you
this.
forever.
But it was, and so I really felt like this is why I wanted to move to LA and E! News at that time was the epicenter of pop culture and so relevant and so fun and exciting and yes, and very Hollywood. And so I remember thinking, you didn't even ask me this, but anyway, I thought, should I tell them that I'm pregnant, but maybe they'll cancel the meeting to meet me if they knew, and I just really wanted this job.
Do it by Zoom from here.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
And this was like
exactly.
before Zoom. Anyway, and
What's that in the background? Oh, it's the neighbour.
Exactly. No, well, there was no baby yet.
no,
It was
I
me.
know.
Although, and I
But I
remember
love
having
this.
kind of Braxton Hicks, and I was so pregnant beforehand. And I said, just go in there. And then in the meeting, I just said, look, let's just discuss the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I love that line.
Me.
Yeah.
And
Yes, yeah.
and to their great credit.
Great. It's great all round. Love it. Yeah.
And they said, we really would love you for this job. How much time? And they waited until I had the baby, which was only another 3 weeks at that
my
point.
goodness.
And they called me up and they said, do you still want the job? And I said, yes, I do. And my mother said, is it your dream? And I said, it is my dream. And then
She nails it each time.
does. She nailed
what
it.
was your mum's
Yeah.
name?
Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Yeah,
And-
fabulous.
And Sylvia.
Yes.
Lovely.
And I said, yes. She goes, well, you don't walk away from your dream. You'll make it work. And which was, again, very contrary to what a lot of grandmothers would have said. Of course you can't take this job.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Oh,
Yes.
totally.
And
yeah.
so they said, how much time would you like for maternity leave? I wasn't even leave. I hadn't even started.
She didn't
And
have the job, but how beautiful if they
Yes.
said that.
Yes,
They
and
wanted you, baby.
they wanted me. Although I did say, oh, can I have 3 months? And they said, we could give you 6 weeks.
And you went, done.
And I said, done.
Deal.
So 6 weeks. And
That's
E! News,
so
everyone's like so fashionable. And I'm arriving. I remember having meetings and I was like
Milk let
leaking.
down.
It was crazy. I'd pump in the room. I still have PTSD about the sound of that pump.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a great opportunity for me. I feel, I think it made me a better mum, not a worse mum, because I felt very fulfilled. Obviously, it was exhausting and I was stretched and I grew in different ways.
Stretched in more ways than one.
Exactly. I was trying to unstretch very quickly.
And how was it like? What was some of the people that
jobs.
stood out?
Oh,
to
so many.
you?
So basically, my job was everything that was. So I remember So I would also always produced and wrote everything I'd done previously. So I was a journalist, not a presenter.
Yes,
So
yes.
and so that was, I've never read someone else's script in my whole career. So I maybe I should. I just get and and so I remember doing from a fun pop culture perspective. Kendall Jenner's first New York Fashion Week, or Hailey Bieber, then Hailey Baldwin's first Fashion Week, and spending the whole day with them. I'd set it up and then preparing and practicing the walk and drinking their tea and whether they'd get booked to walk or not. You know, that was really interesting. Or you do, Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez or Justin Bieber or Kanye West.
All right, that's enough.
Yeah. And you would be in there.
For a few
You're getting
names.
carried away.
Enough's
How
enough.
fabulous. No, never. We want more.
Yeah.
Like,
so it was
that's
really fun.
But and
wild.
also, what can you say from, because we sometimes know with the celebrity world and fame, and from an outsider, some people sort of think that, oh wow, that's, I just want to be famous. What's your take on it from what you've seen so much for years?
Yes.
Ego-driven.
Well, it's a business is what it is. I think that's really
But they've
interesting.
got to go home, haven't they?
Yeah, and
To see themselves in the mirror.
and I don't think they're better or worse. That's the great thing. I think when you've interviewed so many people, it's an incredible equalizer because you demystify fame in many ways, and you see the mechanics of how a supermodel is created, and the agent, and the strategic play, and whether it hits or not, and culturally who are they associated with. There's you get to in that role I really got to look behind the curtain of pop culture and icons and the creation of it. How to sustain it is really interesting as well,
Yes.
and again the mechanics involved in it. So I think I see it as a business, and obviously there's a huge art form component to it as well. And musical artists or actors are artists; they are
Creatives.
and creatives, but it's show business. And I got to see the show and I got to see the business, and so it's very interesting.
What was the worst moment for you in an interview? And who was that?
I don't know if it's the worst
As in,
moment, but
oh God, this isn't going the way.
I remember interviewing Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
And on set, everything. Most people were very nice because they're not idiots.
Of course.
They've got to a
Yes.
certain point because they know how to play the game. But
Yes.
she's amazing, by the way. But I remember it was just hush on set. It was quiet. It was from another era, where
Yes.
everyone was like, and I was like, why is everyone whispering? And Mariah had arrived, and I remember it was really funny because you do a 2-camera, there's or 3-camera shot, but there's the lighting for you, and then there's the lighting for the interviewer. And she had this extraordinary lighting set up, and she was sitting on a throne. It was an actual throne.
Oh, wow.
And I think I had one light on me, and it felt like I was sitting on like a footrest. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's so funny.
And I remember this is, when
Looking up.
going, you're at your service, madam. You know what I mean?
The
How
light
may-
that shines off you, I can't
how
see
may I
you.
please you? And it was just, I remember just feeling like it was such an interesting power play. And she probably wasn't
Intimidated
even-
almost.
And then I remember I'd asked her a question and she said, oh, that's interesting. What about you? And as you know, as interviewers, you want them, especially when you have 5 minutes to get your sound bites, if that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really want them to deliver something that you feel like, yes, I got my
Juicy,
job.
yes.
Or something interesting. I always to treat them with respect and humanity. I never
course.
went in to do a hatchet job ever.
No,
and I think people sense that and gave me great interviews as a result. You can
Good.
feel someone's intentions, whether they're just trying to get the headline at your own peril. But I remember she said, that's a really interesting question. What about who was your, first love or whatever it was?
threw it back to
And
her.
I was like, we don't have time for this. And I was like, well,
Yes.
I'll tell you about that after.
need the
but-
grab.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing. But
Yeah.
it was funny, and it was also an eye opener to see that that type of.
Who was the
celebrity.
one with the worst ego, as in
Honestly,
I'm the greatest?
no, I didn't have that experience. I think that because I came to the interview with respect and also with a feeling of not being sycophantic, but to speak to the human. And
So they respected you.
I think that
That's interesting.
I think if you
yeah.
even if you
That's a
meet
good
someone-
life lesson
It
as
is,
well.
it
I think
is.
that's really
Not
good.
hard
And then what about
hitting.
Any real standouts for you that, or that really, or even might have surprised you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, well, people who I found Olivia Munn was amazing. She's highly intelligent, quite brilliant, and she was just very captivating from an intellectual perspective. Margot Robbie was really interesting. Something that I noticed in her that I sometimes try and remember, which I think is actually a really interesting thing for people to think about, is I was interviewing her first. I was actually very pregnant now with my second child. I know, I sound like I'm pregnant the whole time. I have 2 children. And she was, that's how I want to look when I'm pregnant. I'm like, you're going to look better. But anyway, and I walked in and I remember there seemed to be so little friction within herself about what she wanted to achieve. She wasn't apologetic for her ambition and wasn't boastful or egotistical about it. She seemed
Grounded.
very aligned with her forward motion and the way I think of it is having all of your arrows pointing in the same direction. Sometimes we say we want something, but we have internal struggle where we say we want it, but we don't really want it, and we can self-sabotage and we can undermine our efforts, and we're worried. We wonder why we don't get the results we want, and it's because
I do that with the chocolate I buy at night. Look, it make me feel better, but it's not going to be good for me. But it's going to make me feel better. All the arrows, all the arrows.
Dark chocolate, the red wine. See,
it's the extra
wine. It's a balance
too.
of everything.
It
Well,
is.
now
It is.
I have to say that I'm lucky because I have already got a pair of your socks, cashmere socks, and now you brought grooviness back into sort of like socks and stockings and everything.
Yeah.
Tell us about and how it started.
And it's called what? A high heel jungle. Is the name of
Cool
the jungle.
name. And it's your gloves from
Oh, yes, let's show the gloves.
gloves, yes.
Wow, I
High heel
love
jungle.
that.
which
And
is-
they're leather.
They're leather,
They're
yes.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Elegant.
Yeah, and
Elegant,
it just changes again how you feel, how you show up. So when I was working as a reporter, I would have so many shoots in one day, and I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I could just keep the same amazing black dress I'm wearing and just swap out and have statement socks or tights or hosiery, and that would just completely redefine my outfit.
Smart, isn't it?
I love that.
Yeah.
And so I started making them, and then very immediately, whoever I was interviewing, which was, to my great luck, some of the biggest stars in the world, would stop me and say, what are you wearing? I need these. And sometimes they would put them on mid-interview, and they would, I have things, people chanting socks, or tights. And the other fellow journalists would say, can you bring some? I want to buy them. And we'd sometimes joke, I have to bring different ones because we'd all be doing one after the next.
Oh, how fabulous.
Interviews. And so
Anyone famous buying them?
Everyone.
Give us an example of someone that would have set you off
I mean,
on your trajectory.
the Kardashians.
I was going to say Joan Smith down the road.
Joan?
Are you joking?
Very soon after I launched it, I got a call from the stylist for the Kardashians saying, we're shooting the opening credits for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Can we get that? We want the whole family dressed in it. Can you get them down to
And
Van
what were they
Nuys
dressed
Airport?
in? Which ones were they?
They were wearing our lace and sheer socks with heels and tights as well. So they were all black, but with crystals and different details like that. So very quickly it found a big celebrity following. The stylist, every day I'll get an email from some of the biggest stylists in the world. So we just did all of Dojo Cat's entire world tour concert. Her amazing stylist was buying them, and then one day he emailed me, Brett, and said, I don't think they're going to arrive in time. I'm like, I will arrange this for you.
Yes.
Sabrina Carpenter, Lady Gaga, Chapel Roan.
No, I'm sorry.
Halle Bieber.
My God.
It's pretty much every. We
love you.
Anyway, so many people. But
I know, but the biz that you're in, as well, which is fantastic. And it's fantastic, but it's also, bravo to you, because I think it's really great to see that having like the old daggy sort of stockings on.
True.
That's really nice to have, and you feel good.
You feel
as
amazing.
Well. Like I love, a bit of lace.
It's something
stockings,
sexy about a woman in a stocking.
think so
and I'm not
too.
talking
Great.
like, like that sexy.
whole-
What do they used to call the clipped onto the stockings?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. No, you don't have to
not
wear
that.
the with
Talking like the
suspenders
look
or
of
anything
a
like that. Yeah.
suspenders,
But you
thank
feel,
you.
I think you feel good in them.
Yeah, it's actually slimming too.
They know they suck you in,
thank
but in a
you.
very strategic
Yeah.
way. I don't have the the big girdle style top.
No.
Even that is quite sexy. But we
Yes.
do incredible. We'll add crystals to tights. We'll do beautiful lace ones. We'll do incredible. There are these tights called mercury tights that are like liquid silk, and they just make you look flawless.
To get some
One
of those
dozen.
ones.
I'll wear them. I'll wear them down to Woolworths
That's such a
shopping.
good tip. The little
I love
black
it.
dress. You
I
can
love
have
it.
I think when you had a beautiful white dress on,
Yes.
and I think you might have had red lace.
Yes, I did.
stockings
I
on.
did.
Ours, and we hadn't met before. And somebody else going, wow, I love that look. And you just look
cool.
so good.
God, you sound like your mother
And,
then.
no, but it was
Yeah.
so good. And I think even Erica Kramer, who's been on our potty, the Queen of Confidence,
Yes.
she's got some too, hasn't she?
She does.
She just wore.
She's
She wore the
hooked on
tassel.
you.
She's so gorgeous.
Isn't she beautiful?
I love her. Immediately.
too.
What
No,
a great
we have
energy.
to,
What
so
a
many
story.
things
Another
I want to
story.
talk to you about.
Yes.
Now, I believe when you did get married, you got married at Palm Springs.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, I
I'm
did.
seeing something gorgeous. And tell us, where was your honeymoon?
Your dream location, India.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Oh,
Yes.
I had to go there. Tell us
How
a little
beautiful.
bit about
Where
that.
did
That
you
was
go?
great.
for that honeymoon?
So we
Like whereabouts?
so Delhi through Rajasthan a lot. So Delhi, Agra, Jaipur,
That's where we're going.
Jodhpur,
That's where we're
Udaipur,
doing
and Varanasi.
We're doing an
Yes,
over the
yeah.
back fence Indian tour.
So
we're
come
offering
along.
14 spots, and it's exactly everywhere
Is
you
it?
just said.
Everywhere.
So
And we've got the
amazing.
Holly
The
at
Holly
July
Festival's going to be there. We're going to be there.
Yeah,
on the-
because we're at the end of
This
March.
is
Yes,
extraordinary.
I
It's
know.
such an amazing country. I always describe it as thinking of it as like a colouring book where every part of the page is coloured in.
No, because my sister, who you know, she said it's an assault on your senses, and it's very similar.
Yes.
Like, this is blowing my mind. Nicola, I can't wait to get there. It's killing me.
It's
I know,
so
that's
much
true.
life.
Camilla, with all her, she goes
Yes,
there all
that's
the time with all the
true.
colours and the crystals and the whole thing. It's all.
That's exactly- and that
really
same
so
idea-
I forget that.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's so true. Yeah, even exactly that spirit of. I think everything that everywhere you go changes who you are. I think travel, the people you meet, and the places you go are the greatest impacts on your life, on who you develop to be. And I think that me going there and having this incredible honeymoon and living in New York or living in LA, all of those designs and have kind of filtered into High Heel Jungle, the business, because it's about changing. Like we were talking about earlier about your uniform,
yes.
and how it makes getting dressed easy. But in putting on that red lipstick, you got to personalize yourself and take some ownership over who you are and make you feel like yourself, whoever that is.
so
And
true,
I think of my business, High Heel Jungle, as creating pieces that become the lipstick in your wardrobe, where you can have your uniform, but you
like
put
that.
on
So
this
do I.
incredible
Top
pair of
up the
tights.
You in
lipstick with that
particular.
one.
Or an amazing pair of
Hang it
socks
up.
or a great leather glove or whatever it is that you might be. And suddenly there you are, which goes back to the TV show, was like the idea of looking in the mirror and saying, I see me. There you are. I got you. And so how to have fun with it, how to choose pieces that make you feel like yourself, and also start a conversation and open you up to go back to my grandmother of being ready to meet the most important person in your life, dressed as the best version of yourself. So that's the genesis and the reason I created High Heel Jungle.
I got to clap her again.
We're gonna clap
You get
you
two
again.
claps. It's very
Before we
unusual,
go
I
to
might
our
add.
signature questions with you, because
But
we
can
don't
I
want
say
this
one
to
thing?
end.
She got-
But where do you get them? Was
Yeah.
something-
Oh, where
Yeah,
do you
absolutely.
buy?
So I just want
So
to know.
you
That's
can,
a great question.
yeah, absolutely.
Here I am wanting
yes.
them.
Yeah, no, they're an amazing.
Our
We
listeners
even
are all
do
going,
like great Pilates.
yes,
We've
yes.
won every award for Pilates socks for combining function and form. So it's like really beautiful.
Well, I'm mental
wow.
Pilates.
Pilates
person.
socks. Oh, we've
that's
won
so
so,
good.
many awards for our.
So it's online? You
So
can go
online, you can go. We could go
Or Insta?
to.
Our producer's a big gym girl, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow,
So
they're great.
she's a gym
My
queen.
birthday wish list.
Oh really?
Are you joking?
I actually didn't know this was your company.
Oh, have you got a
Look, that's my
Show me.
these tights, which is
Go, Sam.
fish
They'll
net.
do you well in Thailand.
Wow, that's incredible. So
That's
you
so
can
great.
buy them
So,
now.
you
They're in-
can, so on
Yeah,
Instagram, we're
Instagram.
High Heel Jungle Official.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the website is just highheeljungle.com. That's great. That's where we have the biggest selection, which is because it's our site. Then you can also buy them on the Iconic. You can buy in Australia. You can buy them on Maya.com.au, I think. And then in America, we're in Nordstrom and Anthropology and Free People and Bloomingdale's and Wolf and Badger and all that stuff. But in Australia, I think the best place is really our website.
Sam knows about it.
Well, look at that. Just sitting there,
already.
guys. One quick question before we go to our traditional ones. Just one line, maybe 2 lines, word of advice for young people listening now who would love to achieve some form of success, because you're listening to you today. Yeah. You're an inspiration. Nice. We're not going to do an interview around it. We just want something for you to, bit of feedback from where you are now, sitting at 45, am I right?
Exactly. Thank you for that. Yes, exactly.
And a remarkable ride.
Yeah, wild ride. And getting more exciting every day. That's the other thing. I'm so happy to be here in my age. And it's so great.
Exciting.
2 things. One is, if you're young, you're better.
Me, I'm in my 60s.
Exactly. If you're young, I would say have the highest possible standard. So if it means earning less and learning from the very best, because that sets a benchmark for the level that you believe is acceptable and how you'll operate. And if your benchmark is very, very high, you will always be successful because you've got higher standards professionally. So I think that's a great thing that people don't ever talk about. Learn from the best, have very, very high standards professionally, because no matter what you do, excellence finds its own level. Okay, and you will be there.
You love that, don't you, Sam?
Yeah, getting goosebumps again.
And then the other thing is to start before you're ready, I think is crucial. I think women in particular feel like they have to have it all sorted out and figured out. And I think that you'll end up waiting your whole life. So you just do a little bit of research. Don't start with knowing nothing, but better that than not starting at all, because you will figure it out as you go out of necessity. And so I just feel to start before you're ready. You're not going. If you feel ready, you've waited too long.
Oh.
You shut us up there for a minute because we have to digest that. That's magic.
Yeah,
that's
really
magic.
is.
And because that's that belief too that's in the driver's seat. And if you believe,
so you're 45,
it will guide you.
decade,
figure it out.
The wisdom that you've got, you've had it all your life. And you are just
what a beautiful woman you are.
You are just such a joy.
Gorgeous husband, beautiful children, great career. We love you. They're the people we want to share with our listeners. You are an example of what we want to start the podcast.
We're really lucky that you are. You know,
you inspired me.
You're the joy, and if we can be sort of like a second auntie or something there, I put my hand up for the role because she's just so gorgeous. You really are.
Thank you.
Really are. I mean that in every way.
Remind me to tell you the story about me on air. I used to host a TV program. With morning sickness, vomiting behind the chair. We'll do that off air.
Yeah.
Because it's very funny story,
yes.
I'll tell you.
It's the things you do, right, as a
honestly,
woman?
as a working woman, oh my God.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, this sounds controversial. Is it sexual?
No. I listened to her. I love it.
Gone to that part of us.
Boring now.
That's the next one. We are bringing you back. If you will come back on again, seriously,
I'd
there's
love
just
to do
so much.
part
We've
two.
just like touched the surface.
It'll be like Undressed, the literal podcast.
Exactly.
I love that.
If you could share a back friend, Kathryn Eisman, with anybody on planet Earth, past or present, who would it be? And you can say a couple of names then.
Well, I mean, if it was past, I would do it with my mum.
Yeah,
she's been around today.
Yeah, that would be very nice. Yes. I've had probably 2 dreams about her, and I can feel they feel like they're real. And I wake up, I go, it was if, and she I remember her giving me advice, so I would love that. Yeah. If you have your mum, treasure your mum, because there's something.
What would you say to her?
I wouldn't say to her. I would ask her. I would say, "What do you think about this?" Or "What do you?" I would seek her counsel.
Oh, beautiful.
That's what I wouldn't tell her.
It's
I would
beautiful.
ask her. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Seek her counsel. Love it.
So you miss that, and then you try and get. And people in your life, for better and worse, you do internalize their voices, and for better in most cases. And so. You try and think, what would my grandmother do? I would ask so much of my grandmother. I would love them. So from past, I would have them for sure. And my grandmother, who's so wise and beautiful.
Wish I'd met them both.
You would have loved them. And my friends that have met them, they cherish them as well. And so I do love Oprah Winfrey. I know that you guys have met her, and I think that being around her I love wisdom. I love where I can learn so much and where people live big lives. And my mother always used to say that smart people learn from other people's mistakes and dumb people learn from their own mistakes, which you've got to do sometimes.
That's a great line.
And I think that was a very interesting thing. So there's so much I could learn from her. And obviously people...
Yes. Had you met her during the time in...
I had a show on the Oprah Winfrey Network, but I'd never met her in America. And then when she came out recently, I just went as a punter. And
She's beautiful.
And I loved what she said about being around friends that that truly want you to succeed, and the idea of if you feel that...
She says that a bit, actually.
Yes.
She reiterates that, and I get it because, in my life, I've led a big life, and there's people I've gone, I don't think you're supporting me in this. And this is my dream.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, they were like, I don't know, like autumn leaves, and they just sort of landed and turned to mulch.
Was it let them, the mill?
But isn't
that great?
Fascinating to observe, though.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And you can feel, and I think as you get older, you can feel... Not everyone wants you to succeed, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you certainly shouldn't confine in them or ask their advice, and just know that's not who they are. It doesn't mean... And just let them go. I always let them go. I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. Yeah. And more importantly, be that supportive person to someone.
Absolutely.
Be that person.
More so as a consequence. I agree
and
with
you are that. You
That's
guys
the world,
are that.
The balance.
And when you are that,
people's cheerleaders.
Absolutely.
And it's so good.
We
you
love
genuinely get joy out of other people's
God.
success, and
Unreal.
I love that.
And I feel
it's a good thing.
It's palpable, and I think that would be one of the biggest secrets to your success and your podcast success is how genuinely you are rooting for people and your guests, and that is rarer than it should be, to be honest, and contagious and a fabulous quality to have and a joy to be around, because together people rise around you. So you bring that.
Wow.
Oh, Nicola's mind-blowing. Though.
No, we do.
She's
We're
like
lucky.
a walking
As
angel.
I said, we've been friends for
I'll
40 years. We share
damn
a
it. And she'll, oh, no, it'll be fine. No,
funny.
it won't.
Okay, you got the
It
lucky
will
last
be.
question.
Okay, what makes you happy?
Family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Family.
get it. 100%. That is every...
Love it.
Well, look,
I
thank
get
you
it.
so
Beautiful.
much for coming on. We are on YouTube, so subscribe. You can watch beautiful Kathryn with her gloves and the whole thing.
It's like a triple homicide here, guys. Look at it.
Please follow, rate,
formaldehyde.
share, because you know what it's like. We love the ratings. We like to grow. We're excited when Oprah's going to come on our podcast.
Yes.
So, but we do have with the ratings out of 5. So if people can do that, that really helps us grow. But I don't know whether you know, Di Edwards has her own rating system.
I don't know how
I
that
don't know
came
how
about.
it started.
Really?
But yeah, she has. So we've got Kathryn Eisman at our back fence. How many stars out of 5?
So many
do you
ways
give
I could
Kathryn?
go.
You know,
Look, I
like,
think
really,
she gets 100 out of 5.
Yeah,
Seriously, I really do.
I'll take it.
He's added another 95. Just
take it.
all round. You're just this all round beautiful aura that you have. You just shine
You're
and
a
keep
shining
shining that
star.
light.
You
Yeah.
really are. Yeah.
Thank
You are
you.
through your stockings too, because
So
Sam's
everyone-
buying them.
They're very
I know.
shiny.
Well,
They're very shiny.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
Thank you for
guys.
listening.
We
And we'll
love
be back
you
in your ears
all.
next week.
Yay!
Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Thank you.